She boasted, "Guys are begging for me, I can leave anytime." I smiled, "Perfect. The exit's right there." Silence broke her faster than any fight could. Looking back, I should have said it 3 years earlier. Monica and I met at a wine tasting event in Sonoma County, where she approached me at the Pinot Noir station wearing an emerald dress that probably cost more than my motorcycle payment. She asked if I could taste hints of cherry and tobacco. I couldn't, but I lied and said absolutely, and that lie somehow turned into 4 years of walking on eggshells around someone who wielded the threat of leaving like a loaded weapon. The pattern started small, almost cute at first. She'd pout when I chose Thai over Italian for date night, claiming I never listened even though she'd never mentioned a preference. Then came the silent treatments when I didn't post couple photos within 24 hours, because apparently if it's not on Instagram, relationships don't exist. I developed this Pavlovian response where her disappointed sigh triggered automatic apologies for things I didn't even understand. But the real power dynamic crystallized about 6 months in when she first deployed her nuclear option during an argument about me working on my motorcycle Sunday morning instead of attending her friend's pop-up art gallery. "You know what, Jake? I have guys in my DMs constantly. I could leave you tomorrow and have dinner plans by Tuesday." I'd apologized, promised to do better, became her trained seal performing for fish. That threat became her go-to weapon, forgot the specific almond milk brand, chose football over yoga class, worked late instead of attending her cousin's boyfriend's band debut. I could walk away right now. So many guys would treat me better. Every single time, I'd scramble to fix whatever microscopic transgression triggered her exit threat, convinced someone as beautiful as Monica choosing me meant I'd won some lottery I couldn't afford to lose. The night everything changed started like a dozen arguments before it. I was in our garage changing oil on my '68 Triumph Bonneville at 6:45, and Monica stood in the doorway, arms crossed, storm brewing behind her hazel eyes. I'd promised to be ready by 7 for her art gallery opening downtown, some painter who supposedly understood the female form in transcendent ways. My dress shirt was still in dry cleaning, grease under my fingernails, and I knew the math didn't work. "Are you seriously doing this to me again?" Her voice cut through the garage like a saw through pine. "The opening starts at 7:30. "We've got time," I said, looking up from the oil pan. "That's not the point. You always prioritize your toys over what matters to me. This is important for my career, my networking, and you're playing with your stupid bike like a 12-year-old. She stepped closer, heels clicking on concrete, careful not to contaminate her white blazer that probably cost as much as my rebuilt engine. "I'll be ready in 20 minutes. We won't miss anything important." That's when she shifted to that dangerous pitch. "I'm so tired of being the only one who cares about this relationship. I have guys who would drop everything for me. Brandon from the Boutique Association just texted asking about drinks after the opening. Maybe I should go with someone who actually values my time." Brandon, trust fund kid with the Tesla and permanent Cabotan. This was where I was supposed to panic, grovel, drop everything immediately. But something in me just broke. Or maybe finally healed. I stood up, wiped my hands on a shop rag, and really looked at Monica for the first time in months. I saw the calculation behind her anger, manipulation dressed as hurt feelings, the way she positioned herself for maximum drama. And I felt nothing. No panic, no desperation, no need to fix this. Just liberating calm. "You know what, Monica? The highway's clear. Feel free to take it." The words hung in the garage air like oil vapor. Monica's mouth fell open, perfectly glossed lips forming a shocked "Ew." I'd never called her bluff before, never suggested her leaving wasn't catastrophic. What did you just say?" She blinked rapidly, brain buffering an unfamiliar error. "The highway's clear. You want to leave? There's the door." I gestured with the oil-stained rag, casual as suggesting a new coffee shop. "Brandon's waiting, right? Don't let me keep you from someone who values your time." Her face cycled through 15 expressions in 3 seconds, shock to confusion to anger to something uncomfortably close to panic. "You're just going to let me walk away? After 4 years?" "Let you? Monica, you've threatened to leave for 4 years. I'm finally agreeing. If Brandon's such an upgrade, you should go." Life's too short to stay where you don't want to be. I actually laughed, surprising us both. I didn't mean, she stepped toward me, heel catching slightly. You're supposed to fight for us. Care that I might leave. I'm supposed to grovel because you decided your gallery opening trumps 20 minutes of cleanup time? I shook my head. I'm done with that script. Want someone who jumps at your threats? Go find him. Brandon's available. The silence was deafening. Monica stood frozen like someone paused her mid-tantrum, emotional leverage dismantled by my refusal to play. Her face showed she'd pushed too far, that her nuclear option was revealed as the empty threat it always was. You don't mean that, she whispered, voice wavering. I mean it completely. I picked up my wrench, turned back to the motorcycle. Your suitcase is in the bedroom closet. The one you use for exit rehearsals. Might want to actually fill it this time. Jake, I'll be at Carlos's tonight. Gives you packing time without me in the way. Leave your key on the counter. My hand stayed steady despite adrenaline. I heard her sharp breath, clicking heels stumbling backward, blazer rustling as she wrapped her arms around herself. For 4 years, her power came from my fear. In one moment of clarity, I'd handed that power back like a defective product. You're really doing this, she said, genuinely uncertain for the first time. No, you're doing this. You've been doing this for 4 years. I'm finally agreeing with you. She stood maybe 30 more seconds, waiting for me to crack, to apologize, to reset our usual positions. When I just kept working, I heard her heels clicking rapidly across concrete, the apartment door slamming hard enough to rattle tools on my pegboard. I set down the wrench and released a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. My hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from sheer relief of finally calling her bluff. The garage felt bigger, quieter, like it had been holding its breath too. I looked at my motorcycle, at honest work maintaining something I loved, something that didn't threaten abandonment over minor mistakes. And I smiled. 4 years of eggshells, shattered by one moment of absolute honesty. The highway was clear, and I was finally free to take it. I spent that night at Carlos's place, my best friend since high school who lived 15 minutes away near the gym where he worked as a personal trainer. Carlos handed me a beer the moment I walked in with my overnight bag, pointing at his couch like he'd been expecting this for years. Finally grew a spine, huh? He said. She threatened to leave again? I told him everything. The garage, the gallery, the highway comment that had just fallen out of my mouth. Carlos actually started laughing, deep belly laugh that made his shoulders shake. Bro, I've been waiting for this since year 2. You know how many times I've watched you apologize for existing? Welcome back to the land of the living. That first night I couldn't sleep, kept expecting my phone to explode with texts and calls. But silence. Radio silence. Which felt worse than usual dramatics, like calm before a hurricane. I got maybe 3 hours before my alarm went off, spent the entire day at work in a fog. When I got back to the apartment that evening, prepared for my stuff on the lawn or locks changed, everything looked normal. My key worked. Monica's car was gone. Inside felt different, lighter, like someone had opened windows sealed shut for years. Her keys sat on the counter next to a note in her dramatic handwriting, "You'll regret this. I won't be waiting around when you realize what you lost." I smiled reading it, another threat disguised as prediction. I pocketed her key, crumpled the note, and opened my laptop to do something I should have done 3 years ago, started tracking our expenses. The numbers were brutal. 3 hours going through bank statements, Venmo history, credit card bills, grocery receipts, restaurant tabs. Built a spreadsheet that would have made my accounting professor weep with pride. Monica and I supposedly split rent and utilities 50-50, but when I calculated everything, organic groceries she insisted on, restaurants she chose, her car insurance I'd somehow started covering 6 months ago during that temporary cash flow issue, subscription services she added to my accounts, her phone bill bundled with mine for the discount. I was covering 73% of our joint expenses. While she constantly reminded me how independent she was, how her online boutique meant she didn't need a man. The boutique that never generated enough income to actually pay her bills. I sat back staring at numbers highlighted in red. Past year alone, I'd subsidized Monica's lifestyle for almost $19,000. That was a house down payment. A fully rebuilt motorcycle engine with money left over. Financial independence I'd been hemorrhaging to fund someone's Instagram aesthetic. My phone buzzed, Carlos checking in. How bad is the damage? Worse than I thought. She's been bleeding me dry for years and I was too stupid to notice. Not stupid, bro, manipulated. There's a difference. Come to the gym tomorrow morning. We'll work this rage out productively. Next morning at 6 a.m., Carlos put me through a workout that left me physically destroyed but mentally clearer than I'd been in months. Here's what you're gonna do, he said while I was dying on the rowing machine. Take all that money you were spending on her and invest it in yourself. Meal prep, save it, fix your bike, whatever. Watch your bank account grow instead of drain. Give it 2 weeks and tell me how you feel. I took his advice seriously. Canceled Netflix, Hulu, Spotify Premium, Monica's accounts I'd been funding. Dropped the fancy gym membership she never used but insisted I maintain for couples discount. Cut the meal delivery service where single meals cost $45. Started meal prepping with Carlos every Sunday. Chicken, rice, vegetables, basic stuff costing $60 weekly instead of $300 I'd spent on groceries Monica barely touched because she was watching carbs or doing a cleanse. Picked up weekend carpentry projects through a work buddy renovating his house, making extra $200 to $300 every Saturday building shelves and fixing cabinets. Work felt honest, real, productive, unlike emotional labor of managing Monica's feelings. First week, saved almost $600 just from not funding someone else's lifestyle. My checking account actually went up instead of hovering near zero. I slept better too. No more lying awake wondering if I'd said something wrong, forgotten some invisible anniversary. No more 2 a.m. anxiety about whether tomorrow brought silent treatment or explosive confrontation. Just deep, dreamless, restorative sleep. Meanwhile, Monica tried her classic silent treatment. No texts, calls, social media interaction. Usually lasted 3-4 days before she'd crack with passive-aggressive messages about how I clearly didn't care enough to reach out. I'd always broken first, always texted, "Are we okay? Can we talk?" Not this time. I let silence stretch. Focused on work, hit the gym with Carlos, researched investment strategies, helped my mom with her computer, even deep cleaned my apartment. Monica's style had been, hire someone, which meant it never got done because we, meaning I, couldn't afford it. Day 5 she cracked. Single text. Really, Jake? Nothing. I waited 2 hours. Nothing what? Watch typing bubble appear and disappear 6 times before. You're really not going to apologize? For what? I typed back, genuinely curious. For being an insensitive jerk. For not fighting for us. For choosing your stupid motorcycle over my important event. There it was, rewriting history, transforming her threatening to leave into my fault. I told you the highway was clear. You chose to leave. Not sure what there is to apologize for. Typing bubble appeared, disappeared, appeared again. 5 minutes. Then, fine. If that's how you want to play it. But I wasn't playing anything. That's what Monica couldn't grasp. This wasn't tactic or strategy or reverse psychology. I'd simply stopped participating in her drama. Stopped being audience for her performance. When she tried passive-aggressive social media posts, quotes about knowing your worth, and cutting off people who don't value you, I didn't engage. Started liking random guys' photos on Instagram, obvious jealousy attempts. I didn't notice. I'd unfollowed her that first night, blocked her stories, removed that poison from my scroll. Carlos found it hilarious. Dude, you're living rent-free in her head while she's completely evicted from yours. Beautiful. Week 2 brought crying texts. 3M messages about missing us, how maybe she'd overreacted, how we should talk things through like adults. I read them next morning over coffee, feeling nothing except mild annoyance at notification sounds disrupting sleep. My responses stayed consistent. I think we both know what we need to know, or take care of yourself, Monica. No anger, no engagement, no emotional ammunition to weaponize. Door slamming phase started when she picked up stuff she'd left, Clothes, toiletries, ridiculous decorative pillows she'd insisted made the apartment livable. I let her in, went back to my laptop researching investment portfolios, ignored her completely. She slammed every door and drawer. Bathroom cabinet, slam. Bedroom closet, slam. Front door leaf, slam. I didn't look up, just kept scrolling through index fund metrics while she threw her tantrum. Carlos texted 5 minutes later, "Bro, I could hear slamming from the parking lot. She's losing it. But maybe she'll realize the show's over." End of week 2, I'd saved $1,200. Money that usually evaporated on Monica's whims, boutique clothes worn once, restaurants she picked then barely ate at, road trips where I paid everything because she'd forgotten her wallet. My apartment stayed clean, sleep stayed deep, mind stayed quiet. Emotional chaos that had been my baseline for 4 years just stopped. I realized something obvious. Peace isn't something you find. It's something you stop destroying. Monica had been a wrecking ball I'd welcomed, and I'd simply stepped out of the way. The highway was clear, and for the first time in years, I was moving forward instead of just surviving constant collision. Week 3 brought Monica's social media circus, and watching her unravel through carefully curated Instagram stories was almost entertaining. First came cryptic posts, sunset photos with captions like, "Sometimes the trash takes itself out," and "Leveling up requires leaving dead weight behind." I only knew because Carlos kept sending screenshots, laughing. "Bro, she's posting like she dumped you. The delusion is real." Then came conspicuous displays of male attention, honestly just sad. She'd leave her phone face up during our final belongings exchange, screen lighting up with texts from guys named Brandon and Chase. "Hey beautiful, still on for drinks tonight?" She'd glance at me, waiting for jealousy that never came. I was calculating whether I could afford new motorcycle tires with my savings. "Aren't you going to say anything?" she finally asked, frustrated. "About what?" I said, boxing up her decorative pillows. "About Brandon texting me. About me going out." I looked up. "Monica, you don't live here anymore. Your dating life stopped being my business when you walked out." Her face couldn't decide between anger and disappointment. Most guys would be jealous. Most guys were still playing her game. I'm not most guys anymore. Texts got more obvious after that. Screenshots of conversations accidentally on purpose left open. Chase sending heart emojis. Brandon calling her stunning. Some guy Vincent inviting her to Napa. I responded to none of it, just kept packing with storage unit efficiency. The real performance came 3 days later when I was on my balcony working, enjoying late afternoon sun and Monica-free peace. A silver Porsche pulled up, and Monica emerged from the lobby like walking a red carpet. Tight red dress I'd never seen, probably bought specifically for this moment, and impossibly high heels. The driver got out, exactly the type Monica thought would trigger jealousy. Tall, expensive suit, generic handsome from personal trainers and dermatologists. Vincent, I assumed. Mr. Weekend in Napa. Monica laughed too loud at something he said, tossing her hair in that practiced way. Then she looked up, directly at my balcony, checking if I was watching. I was, but like a scientist observing predictable experiments. Our eyes met. She smiled triumphantly, waiting for reaction. I raised my coffee mug in casual salute and went back to my laptop. Researching loft apartments downtown, actually. Carlos might relocate for work, and I'd been looking at potential split opportunities. Better neighborhood, closer to jobs, actual amenities. Heard the Porsche door slam, engine rev unnecessarily loud. Through peripheral vision, I saw Monica's face driving away, confusion mixed with rage. Her big dramatic exit, and I'd responded with a coffee toast. Carlos texted immediately, "Dude, I saw that from the gym. Was that the Porsche guy?" "Yep. Vincent. Taking her to Napa apparently. And you're just cool with it?" "Carlos, I'm relieved someone else is footing her wine tasting bills now." "You've reached enlightenment," bro, genuinely impressed. That night Monica returned around midnight. Heard the Porsche pull up, heels clicking across parking lot. Then nothing. I was watching a documentary about vintage motorcycles when my phone buzzed. "Can we talk?" I ignored it. Went back to learning about 1950s Indian chiefs. Another buzz. I know you're awake. I saw your light on. Still nothing. Knocking started 5 minutes later. Soft at first, then progressively louder. Jake, I know you're in there. We need to talk about this. I turned up TV volume. Knocked again. You can't just ignore me forever. Actually, I could, and was proving it effectively. Knocking continued maybe 10 minutes before heels clicked away, car door slammed. Porsche drove off. Probably Vincent realizing he'd signed up for unnecessary drama. My phone exploded with texts after. You're being so immature. We're both adults, we should communicate. I can't believe you're treating me like this after 4 years. Fine, be that way. See if I care. I read them next morning over coffee, felt nothing, deleted the entire thread. Monica's inability to process that I'd moved on was becoming her full-time occupation. Meanwhile, my life kept improving measurably. Carpentry side hustle brought in $600 that week. Meal prep routine with Carlos had me feeling better physically than in years. My apartment stayed consistently clean without someone treating it like a hotel. And I'd found the perfect downtown loft. 2 bedrooms, exposed brick, walking distance to Carlos's new gym location. We could split it 60-40 since I made slightly more, and I'd still pay less than covering Monica's lifestyle. The universe was literally rewarding me for setting boundaries. But Monica wasn't done performing. Instagram escalation continued. Stories of expensive dinners with amazing company and clinking wine glasses. Photos at exclusive clubs with captions like VIP treatment only and finally being appreciated. Gym selfies with working on myself and new chapter, better me. Desperation was palpable, each post screaming, look how great I'm doing, to an audience of one who'd stopped watching. Carlos kept me updated despite my disinterest. She posted herself at some rooftop bar. Bottle service and everything. Good for her, I said, measuring cuts for a bookshelf. Bro, you really don't care at all? Honestly? I care more about getting these measurements right. This is maple wood. Expensive. Can't afford mistakes. That summarized everything perfectly. Monica had become less important than proper carpentry. Week later, posts took a darker turn. Less bragging, more cryptic sadness. Some people don't know what they have until it's gone, with rain on windows. Thought I wanted freedom, but maybe I just wanted to be fought for over black and white selfies. Is it really winning if you end up alone? Manipulation shifting strategies, from jealousy to guilt. Didn't work. I was busy signing the loft lease with Carlos, planning my new workshop space, expanding carpentry business. Too genuinely happy to let manufactured sadness drag me down. Final social media blow came when I posted a single photo, me and Carlos at the new loft, holding keys, genuine smiles. Simple caption, new chapter. Within an hour, Monica texted, "You're moving? We haven't even been broken up a month and you're already moving on. Monica, you moved on the night you threatened to leave for Brandon. I'm just living my life. This is cruel, posting about your new place like our 4 years meant nothing. They meant something when they were happening. Now they're over. That's how time works." She didn't respond, but Instagram's story stopped. The performance had lost its audience, and apparently there was no point continuing the show. End of week 3, packing for the loft move, I found Monica's earring under the couch. Expensive one, probably $200. Part of a set I'd bought for Christmas. Old me would have texted immediately, arranged to return it, maybe used it as an excuse to see her. New me? Dropped it in an envelope, wrote her mom's address. Monica was probably staying there between Vincent and whoever came next, and stuck it in outgoing mail. No note, no message, no emotional attachment. Just returning property that wasn't mine. As Carlos and I drove away from that apartment, my phone buzzed one last time. "I saw you moving. This is really it." I looked at the message, considered responding, then just turned off my phone. The highway was clear, I was moving forward, and for the first time in years, the rearview mirror showed nothing worth looking back at. Thanksgiving arrived with brutal irony. Monica's mom Linda had invited me weeks before the breakup to their Sacramento dinner. I'd forgotten until Monica sent a passive-aggressive text. I assume you're not coming since you've made it clear you want nothing to do with my family. Part of me wanted to skip it, avoid drama, spend the holiday with Carlos eating Chinese food and watching football. But another part, the part tired of Monica rewriting history, decided I had every right to attend. I'd been going 3 years. Her family liked me. Why should I give that up because Monica couldn't handle consequences? I'll be there, I texted Linda directly. Monica's response came within minutes. You're seriously coming? After everything? Your mom invited me. Would be rude to cancel. This is going to be so awkward. Only if you make it awkward. I showed up right on time, carrying wine and homemade pumpkin pie, Carlos's mom's recipe I'd learned for this occasion. Monica's car was already there, along with her brother Trevor's truck. I could see her watching from the window, face a mixture of disbelief and panic. Linda answered with a huge smile, pulling me into a hug. Jake, so glad you could make it. I saw Monica's jaw clench from across the room. She wore a designer dress that probably cost more than rent, hair and makeup perfect like attending a photo shoot instead of family dinner. Overcompensating, trying to look like she was thriving. Trevor came over immediately. Jake, Monica said you guys broke up? We did. But your mom invited me weeks ago, and I wasn't about to waste her cooking. Trevor laughed. Fair enough. Plus someone needs to help me watch the game. Monica stood there like I'd crashed her party. She'd probably planned to paint me as the villain, the emotionally unavailable boyfriend. Now I was here, being welcomed like nothing had changed, completely disrupting her narrative. Dinner started civilly enough. Linda had outdone herself. Turkey, stuffing, 3 types of potatoes, green bean casserole. I sat between Trevor and Robert, strategically far from Monica who kept shooting me looks. So Jake, Linda said, passing gravy, Monica mentioned you two split up. I'm so sorry. These things happen, I said neutrally. Sometimes people want different things. Monica jumped in immediately. Jake's been very distant lately. Emotionally unavailable. Wouldn't make time for important things in my life. I felt everyone's eyes on me. Old me would have stayed quiet, let her control the narrative. Actually, we broke up because Monica threatened to leave me for another guy during an argument about me being 20 minutes late to her art gallery opening. Said she had better options. I finally agreed with her. The table went silent. Forks stopped moving. Linda's eyes went wide. Trevor actually choked on his wine. Monica's face turned red. That's not, you're twisting it. I was upset because you always prioritize your motorcycle over what matters to me. I was changing oil. Took 20 minutes. But you're right, I do prioritize things differently now. Like people who don't threaten to abandon me every time they're mildly inconvenienced. This is exactly what I'm talking about, Monica said, voice rising. You make everything my fault. Monica, Trevor interrupted, genuinely curious. Do you actually threaten to leave him when you argue? Like, regularly? The question hung in the air. Monica opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. It's not threatening. It's communicating. I tell him I have options because he needs to know I won't tolerate being taken for granted. That's literally threatening to leave, Trevor said, almost laughing. How's that different? Because I'm just being honest about my worth. I appreciate you for 4 years, I said calmly, cutting turkey. Cooked for you, helped with your boutique, attended every event. But appreciation apparently means dropping everything whenever you decide something is important. Robert, quiet until now, spoke up. Son, let me get this straight. You were working on your motorcycle, planning to be ready with 20 minutes to spare, and she threatened to leave you? Basically, yes. And you said? I told her the highway was clear and she should take it. Trevor actually laughed. Bro, that's cold. I respect it. Trevor. Monica snapped. Stop encouraging this. He's making me sound crazy. Sweetie, Linda said carefully, you do have a tendency to be dramatic when you don't get your way. Remember threatening to move out because we wouldn't co-sign for that BMW? Monica's face went from red to purple. That's completely different. That was about respect. Is it though? Trevor asked. Sounds like the same pattern. Do what I want or I'll leave. Except Jake actually called your bluff. The dinner had derailed into impromptu family therapy, and I was just eating stuffing, watching Monica's victim narrative crumble. You know what? Monica said, standing abruptly. I don't have to sit here and be attacked by my own family. Nobody's attacking you, Robert said. We're trying to understand what happened. What happened is Jake stopped caring and I stood up for myself. By threatening to date someone else? Linda asked, confused. Monica looked around the table, realizing she'd lost the room. Her family wasn't buying her version. They were seeing through manipulation I'd been blind to for 4 years. I need air, she announced, storming to the back patio. The door slammed hard enough to rattle china. Silence fell. Then Trevor raised his wine glass. So Jake, you really done with her? Completely. Smart man. She's been pulling that routine since high school. Trevor, Linda warned, without much conviction. The rest of dinner was pleasant. We talked about normal things. Trevor's job, Robert's retirement, the 49ers' terrible season. Monica stayed on the patio, probably texting Brandon or Chase about how horrible her family was being. When it was time for dessert, Linda went to get Monica. I heard raised voices, then Monica stormed back through, grabbed her purse, headed for the door. I'm leaving. My own family taking his side. We're not taking sides, honey, Linda said. We're just asking questions. Well, I don't like the questions. Or how everyone's treating me like I'm the problem. She looked at me one last time. I hope you're happy, Jake. You've turned my family against me. I didn't turn anyone. I just told the truth. Your twisted version where you're the victim and I'm the villain. I'm not a victim. I'm just someone who stopped playing a game I didn't want to play. She stared at me, searching for desperation she'd seen for 4 years, guilt she could usually trigger. Found nothing but calm certainty. Fine. Enjoy Thanksgiving with my family since they clearly like you more anyway. She slammed the door. Car started, tires squealed, pulling out. Linda sighed deeply. I'm sorry, Jake. She's always been dramatic, but it's not your fault. She's dealing with consequences for the first time. It's uncomfortable. She really threatened to leave over being 20 minutes late? Robert asked. Among other things. 20 minutes late, wrong restaurant, forgetting to post photos fast enough, working late, spending Sunday on my motorcycle. Pretty much anything that didn't revolve entirely around her. Trevor shook his head. How'd you deal with that for 4 years? Honestly? I don't know. But I'm not dealing with it anymore, and that feels pretty good. We ate pie, watched football, talked about everything except Monica. When I left around 8, Linda hugged me tight. You're always welcome here, Jake. Regardless of what happens with Monica. Thanks, Linda. That means a lot. Driving back to my loft, I felt lighter than I had in years. Monica's own family had seen through her manipulation, questioned her narrative, refused to enable her victim complex. And I'd sat there eating turkey, speaking calmly, stating facts without anger or bitterness. The highway had been clear, and I'd ended up exactly where I needed to be, moving forward while Monica threw tantrums in everyone's rearview mirror. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, Monica staged what I can only describe as the most dramatic exit attempt I'd ever witnessed. I came home from work to find designer suitcases strategically arranged in the living room like an art installation. Not packed. Just displayed. Open and empty, waiting to be filled with belongings she'd been too busy to collect over the past month. She was sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone, clearly waiting for me to notice and react. What's all this? I asked, setting down my laptop bag. I'm finally getting my stuff and leaving, she announced dramatically, like delivering the climactic line in a movie. You've made it clear you don't want me around. I looked at the empty suitcases, then at her sitting comfortably on my couch still in work clothes, not actually packing anything. Do you need boxes? I have some from the move. Her face fell. That wasn't the script. You're not going to try to stop me? Monica, you left a month ago. You threatening to take your stuff now isn't exactly breaking news. I thought maybe you'd realize what you're losing. That you'd ask me to stay. I sat down in the chair across from her, genuinely tired. The highway's still clear if that's what you're asking. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. How can you be so cold? After everything we had. We had 4 years of you threatening to leave. I'm just finally respecting that decision. Before she could respond, my phone rang. Carlos. Hey man, you still good for tonight? Yeah, what time you moving in? Around 7. Got the last boxes loaded. Monica's eyes went wide. Wait, what? Carlos is moving into the building, I told her. Yeah, Carlos, that works. See you then. I hung up and Monica was staring with absolute disbelief. Carlos is moving here? Into this building? Penthouse unit upstairs. His gym is relocating nearby, and we found a great co-living situation. Co-living? You're living together? Different apartments, same building. We're co-signing on amenities, splitting costs on a shared workshop space in the garage. Makes financial sense. The realization was dawning. I wasn't just moving on, I was actively building a life with no space for her drama. So you're replacing me with your friend? I'm not replacing anyone. You left. Carlos and I are neighbors who get along without threatening to abandon each other over minor inconveniences. She stood abruptly, suitcases forgotten. This is what you wanted all along, isn't it? To just hang out with your guy friends and work on your stupid projects. Actually, yes. Turns out I enjoy not walking on eggshells constantly. I never made you walk on eggshells. Monica, I apologized for breathing wrong for 4 years. But we don't need to rehash this. You came to get your stuff, so let's get your stuff. I started toward the bedroom where she'd left clothes and toiletries. She followed, thrown by how this was going. You've really changed, Jake. You're not the man I fell in love with. You're right. I'm not the man who let you use his affection as a bargaining chip anymore. We spent the next hour packing in tense silence. She kept trying to start conversations about us and what could have been, and I kept redirecting to practical matters like whether she wanted the decorative pillows or if I should donate them. Around 6:45, Carlos texted that he was pulling up. Monica saw the notification. He's here already? Said 7. It's almost 7. So you're just going to kick me out to help your friend move in? You came to get your stuff. You're getting your stuff. Carlos moving in is a separate thing planned for weeks. The knock was Carlos, grinning when he saw the suitcases. Oh damn, this her dramatic exit I've been hearing about? Monica's face went red. You've been talking about me? Monica, you've been the main character in your own drama for a month. Of course people talk about it. Carlos was already carrying boxes past her, completely unfazed. Jake, where you want the power tools? Workshop space in the garage. I'll show you after we finish here. I turned back to Monica. You almost done? She looked between us, realizing she'd lost control. I can't believe you're doing this. Doing what? Helping my friend move in while you pack up stuff you came to pack up. You're supposed to be devastated. You're supposed to care that I'm leaving. I did care. A month ago when you actually left. But you can't keep leaving and expecting me to beg you to stay. Eventually, people move on. Carlos was making multiple trips, hauling furniture, completely disrupting Monica's stage drama with actual productivity. She watched him work, watched me help, watched her entire performance become irrelevant background noise. Fine, she finally said, zipping the last suitcase with unnecessary force. I'll go. But don't come crying to me when you realize what a mistake this was. I won't, I said simply, holding the door open. She stood there another moment, waiting for me to crack, to show emotion, to give her something to work with. When I didn't, she grabbed her suitcases and walked out. But not before turning back. You're going to regret this, Jake. The only thing I regret is not calling your bluff 3 years ago. She left without another word, heels clicking down the hallway, suitcases rolling behind her. I closed the door and immediately felt lighter. Carlos emerged from the spare bedroom. Bro, she really tried to make that a moment, huh? Her whole life is trying to make moments. Well, her moment's over. Help me get this couch to the penthouse before the building manager sees us blocking the elevator. We spent the evening moving Carlos in, assembling furniture, ordering pizza, planning the workshop space. Monica texted around midnight, long paragraphs about mistakes and second chances and throwing away something beautiful. I read them while helping Carlos level his TV mount, felt nothing, didn't respond. By night's end, Carlos was settled in the penthouse, we'd signed the co-lease agreement for the workshop, and I'd blocked Monica's number for the final time. "How's it feel?" Carlos asked as we sat on his new balcony, beers in hand, looking at city lights. "Like I should have done this years ago." Regret the time wasted? Learned what I don't want in life. That's worth something. My phone was blessedly silent. No threats, no manipulation, number 3 a.m. texts. Just peace. Carlos raised his beer. To new chapters and old friends. And to women who actually appreciate stable guys instead of using them as emotional ATMs. We clinked bottles. The highway was clear, and I was finally driving in the right direction. Away from chaos, towards something real. Monica's dramatic exit had turned into just another Tuesday night, and that felt like the perfect ending. She'd wanted me to fight for her. Instead, I'd fought for myself. And won in ways that mattered. Peace, savings, genuine friendships, and a life that didn't require constant emotional negotiations. Sometimes the best power move is simply stepping aside and letting someone's bluff destroy itself. Monica had been calling that bluff for 4 years. I just finally stopped answering. The real goodbye came 3 weeks later, nothing like Monica's dramatic staging. She actually left. No performance, no audience, just consequences finally catching up. I was updating my investment portfolio spreadsheet Saturday morning when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Against better judgment, I answered. "Jake, it's me." Monica's voice sounded different, smaller, tired, lacking that confident edge. "I'm outside. Can we talk?" I looked out the window. Her car was parked across the street, and she was sitting in the driver's seat, phone to her ear, looking up at my building. Not the Porsche, Vincent was clearly out. Not even her leased BMW. Some older Honda Civic I didn't recognize. "There's nothing to talk about, Monica. Please. Just 5 minutes. I need to tell you something." The desperation was new, genuine. Not the manufactured kind for manipulation. Against every instinct screaming to hang up, I sighed. 5 minutes. Lobby. I went down to find her standing by the mailboxes, and honestly, I barely recognized her. Designer clothes were gone, replaced by jeans and a plain sweater. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, dark circles under her eyes. She looked like someone running on fumes for weeks. "You look different," I said, keeping distance. "I am different. Everything's different." She laughed bitterly. Brandon turned out controlling. Wanted me to quit my boutique for his family business. Chase only wanted one thing. Vincent used me to get back at his ex-girlfriend. Made sure she saw us together, then dropped me the next day. "I'm sorry that happened to you." And I genuinely was, the way you're sorry hearing about bad things happening to people you used to know. Are you though? Because I've been thinking about us, about what I threw away. I was wrong, Jade. About everything. Okay. Okay? That's it? What do you want me to say, Monica? That you'll give me another chance. That we can start over. I've learned my lesson. I know what I want now, and it's you. I looked at her and felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no temptation. Just mild pity for someone who'd gambled everything on a bluff and lost. "Monica, I don't want to start over with you. But I've changed. I'm not the same person who, maybe you have changed. I genuinely hope so. But I've changed too, and the person I am now knows what we had wasn't healthy." She stepped closer, desperation creeping in. "We were good together once. We can be good again. I'll be different, I promise. No more threats, no more drama. You had 4 years to appreciate me. You spent them holding our relationship hostage every time things didn't go exactly your way. I was scared. Scared of commitment, scared of being vulnerable, and I was tired. Tired of walking on eggshells, tired of funding your lifestyle, tired of being treated like a backup plan. But I'm not tired anymore. I'm just done. Real tears started streaming down her face. Please don't do this. I have nothing, Jake. I lost my apartment. Brandon got me fired from the boutique association. Vincent spread rumors that tanked my reputation. I'm living with my mom, working 3 gig jobs just to make rent. I need you. And there it was. She didn't want me back because she loved me or missed me or realized my value. She wanted me back because I was stable, the safety net she'd taken for granted. I'm not a rescue plan, Monica. And you needing me isn't the same as wanting me. I do want you. I want everything we had. We had you threatening to leave every other week. We had me apologizing for existing. We had you using my affection as leverage. That's what we had, and I don't want it back. She was fully crying now, mascara-free tears making her look younger, more vulnerable. Part of me that had loved her for 4 years wanted to comfort her. But the part that had learned to love myself more knew better. I made a mistake, Jake. The biggest mistake of my life. Don't you believe in second chances? I thought about that. About second chances and forgiveness and whether people really change. I believe in second chances for people who've earned them. But you haven't done the work, Monica. You're just out of options. That's not fair. I'm here, aren't I? Admitting I was wrong. You're here because Vincent dumped you and Brandon fired you and Chase used you. If any of them had worked out, you wouldn't be standing in my lobby crying. You'd be posting Instagram stories about living your best life. The truth hung between us. She opened her mouth to deny it, then closed it, knowing I was right. So that's it? You're just going to let me walk away? Monica, I let you walk away 7 weeks ago. You're the one who keeps trying to come back. Because I love you. You love what I provided. Stability, safety, someone who would always forgive you. But I'm not that person anymore. She stood there crying, and I felt nothing. No urge to fix her pain, no desire to be her hero. Just quiet certainty this was right. I should go, I said finally. My friend's waiting upstairs. Of course, your stupid projects are more important. She stopped herself, realizing even now she was falling into old patterns. They're not stupid. They're mine. And yeah, they are more important than having this conversation again. I turned to walk away. Jake, wait. I stopped but didn't turn around. I really am sorry. For everything. You deserved better than how I treated you. Yeah, I did. And now I have it. I walked to the elevator, leaving her in the lobby. Didn't look back, didn't second guess, didn't feel bad. Just pressed the button and went home. When I got back, Carlos texted from upstairs. Was that her car I saw leaving? Yeah. Final goodbye. You good? Better than good. Wanna grab lunch? Hell yeah. New burger place downtown. My treat. I smiled, looking around my peaceful apartment. Clean, organized, no designer pillows I didn't want, no expensive groceries I couldn't afford, no emotional landmines. Just a space where I could breathe. My phone stayed silent after that. Monica didn't text, didn't call, didn't show up again. According to mutual friends, she moved back with her mom permanently, took a regular job, deleted most of her Instagram. Started therapy, apparently. I genuinely hoped it helped her. But it wasn't my problem anymore. My life kept getting better in small, measurable ways. Carpentry business grew, word of mouth brought steady weekend work becoming more profitable than my day job. My savings crossed $5,000 for the first time in years. Money that used to disappear into Monica's lifestyle was building my future. I started looking at investment properties, thinking about long-term wealth instead of just surviving. And I met someone. Emily, a project manager at one of the restaurants where we'd installed custom shelving. Practical, funny, had her own money and life. Didn't need me to fund her existence or validate her worth. You seem really centered, she said on our second date. Like you know exactly who you are. Took me a while to figure it out. Expensive learning experience. She laughed. Well, their loss is my gain. We took things slow. No drama, no threats, no games. Just 2 adults building something real. 6 months after Monica's final goodbye, I sold my first major carpentry piece, custom dining table for $3,000. Posted a photo with simple caption, "Built something that lasts." Monica liked the post. Then unliked it. Then her account disappeared entirely. I didn't follow up, didn't wonder. Just kept building. Furniture, relationships, a life that didn't require constant emotional negotiations. The highway was clear, and I was miles ahead, moving forward with people who actually wanted to ride alongside me instead of threatening to jump out at every turn. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just living well and never looking back at the chaos you finally escaped. The universe has a twisted sense of humor. 4 months after Monica's final tearful exit, she moved into my building. Not the penthouse where Carlos lived. Not even a decent upper floor unit. The ground floor studio next to the laundry room that nobody wanted because you could hear every machine cycle through the walls. I found out when I was carrying groceries up and saw a familiar figure struggling with boxes near the ground floor entrance. Thinner than I remembered, hair pulled back, wearing worn workout clothes. No design or anything. Just someone who looked tired and defeated, rebuilding from scratch. Our eyes met. She froze, box in her arms, face going through 15 emotions in 3 seconds. Jake. Monica. The most civil greeting we'd managed in months. I didn't know you still lived here. She set down the box, wiping sweat. I know this is awkward, but it was the only place I could afford on short notice. Mom kicked me out after I couldn't make rent for 3 months. I should have felt vindicated. Should have enjoyed seeing her struggling, working multiple gig jobs, living in the worst unit while I'd upgraded. But mostly I just felt nothing. Maybe a little sorry, the way you feel bad for anyone going through hard times. The laundry room's loud, I said neutrally. Fair warning. I'll manage. She picked up the box. I won't bother you. I promise. I just need a fresh start, and this was available immediately. Good luck with that. I headed toward the elevator. Jake. I turned back. You look really good. Happy. No manipulation in her voice, no hidden agenda. Just a simple observation from someone who'd finally run out of games. I am happy. But you deserve it. And she actually meant it. The Monica standing there wasn't the woman who'd threatened to leave over being 20 minutes late. This was someone who'd had every bluff called, every safety net removed, every consequence delivered. She'd been humbled in ways that actually mattered. Over the next weeks, I'd occasionally run into her. Lobby, mailroom, parking lot. Each encounter was brief, civil, awkward the way interactions with exes always are. She'd nod, I'd nod, we'd both keep moving. No drama, no reconciliation attempts, no manufactured run-ins. Just 2 people who used to know each other, living in the same building, trying to move forward. Carlos found it hilarious. Bro, your ex is literally living below your quality of life now. Poetic justice. It's just sad, honestly. Sad? She's working 3 delivery jobs because she burned every bridge chasing guys with Porsches. That's not sad, that's consequences. Maybe he was right. But seeing Monica struggle wasn't giving me expected satisfaction. It just confirmed I'd made the right choice walking away. I saw her online boutique attempts fail through mutual friends' Instagram. Saw her try rebuilding her influencer image with posts about finding yourself after hitting rock bottom that got maybe 20 likes. Saw her working late nights delivering food, early mornings doing rideshare, afternoons doing whatever gig work she could find. The universe was teaching her every lesson she'd refused to learn when we were together. The most telling moment came 6 weeks after she moved in. I was coming back from a date with Emily, fancy restaurant downtown, the kind Monica used to beg for, when I saw Monica in the lobby wearing a food delivery uniform, checking her phone between orders. She looked exhausted, defeated, nothing like the confident woman who used to threaten to leave for better options. Emily was laughing at something I'd said, holding my hand, completely comfortable. We walked past Monica, and I saw her face, not jealousy exactly, but recognition. Recognition that this is what she could have had if she just appreciated what was in front of her instead of constantly looking for something shinier. Friend of yours? Emily asked as we walked to the elevator. Used to be. She looked sad. She made choices. Now she's living with them. Emily squeezed my hand. I'm glad she made those choices. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been available when I met you. That was the difference. Emily saw value in what we were building together. Monica had only seen value in what I could provide. The most surreal encounter came 2 months later. I was in the building's gym at 6 a.m. Saturday when Monica walked in. She clearly hadn't expected anyone. "Sorry," she said immediately, turning to leave. "I'll come back later." "It's fine. Building gym is for everyone." She hesitated, then came in, heading to the treadmill across the room. We worked out in awkward silence for maybe 20 minutes before she spoke. "I heard you sold a big carpentry piece. Congratulations." I looked up from the weights, surprised she'd know. "Thanks. Custom dining table for a restaurant." "That's amazing. You always were talented." No innuendo, just genuine compliment. Just finally had time and money to focus on it. She nodded slowly, understanding the implication. "I'm sorry. For all of it. For how I treated you, took advantage, made you feel like you weren't enough." "Monica, no, let me finish. I've been in therapy, actually working on myself. And I realized I spent 4 years treating the best thing in my life like it was disposable. I threatened to leave because I thought I had all the power. Turns out you had the power all along. The power to walk away." I set down the weights, looking at her directly. She was crying, but not manipulative tears. These were tears of someone who genuinely lost everything and finally understood why. "I appreciate the apology. But it doesn't change anything." "No, it doesn't. I understand. I just wanted you to know that losing you was the wake-up call I needed. I'm not asking for another chance. I'm just grateful you finally called my bluff." There was something peaceful about that conversation. Like we'd reached the end of a very long, very expensive lesson. "I hope you figure it out, Monica. I genuinely do." "Thanks. And Jake? Emily's lucky. Whoever you end up with is lucky to get the version of you I was too stupid to appreciate." She left the gym and I went back to my workout. The highway had been clear, and she'd chosen to take it. Now she was watching from the sidelines as I drove past, not even looking in the rearview mirror. The best revenge really was just living well. One argument over motorcycle oil changes had freed me from years of manipulation and led me to genuine happiness. Monica had wanted me to fight for her. Instead, I'd fought for myself. And won everything that actually mattered: peace, prosperity, and a partner who chose me every day without threats or conditions. The universe delivered justice in the most poetic way. Monica moved into my building expecting awkwardness. Instead, she got a front-row seat to watching me thrive without her. And honestly, that felt like the perfect ending.